I'm just going to give this a second because I need to see if this will even work, because the internet connection is a little bit choppy where I'm at. I am with Rogers, so no disrespect, but that would be expected, I guess, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll see if someone will come in the room, and then I'll be able to kind of see what's going on with the connection. Otherwise, I'll just kind of have to get started on some of the things I want to talk about. It's basically in relation to the last video that I had just posted. Um, Basically, it was just kind of describing at what age would you or should you have the discussion with the young ones in your life, whether you're the parent, guardian, brother, sister, mother, aunt, uncle, or what have you. At what age is the proper age to have discussions about online predators and just predators in general? So, like I said, I just need to give this just a second to see if this is working, because I'm going to see if somebody will send a message or write a comment or something. That way I can kind of see. Just say anything. Say, hurry up and get on with it, Justin, or something. The reason for me smoking right now is because I'm back to smoking, but because I just don't want to stress myself out in case this isn't working properly. Hi, Phoenix. Hi, Katarina. I hope I got that right. Katarina or Katrina? No, Katarina, I believe. So again, it's just in relation to the last video that I'd posted. I didn't give a whole lot of detailed information, basically to answer the question, I believe. Hi, Sky. And I just wanted to kind of jump on real quick and then just kind of clarify what it was that I had meant. I believe that this is a very complex question. There's virtually not really a good answer or a bad answer. What's going on, dude? And the reason why I say that is because every child is different. So, as said previous, you'd have to tailor the information around your child's intellectual capabilities. Now, with that being said, formally for the greater part of the first few years, it's best to be extremely involved in your child's life. And as they get a little bit older, you can kind of pull back a little bit, and you don't have to be so much of what they say is the helicopter parent. Allowing your child a safe space to be able to breathe as well as to grow independently, to be able to experience life on their own basis. But I do believe that the majority of young people should be taught like this. So, with excusing the fear of God into your child, which could just cause a lot of trauma later on, it's almost like you need to teach them non-verbally and somewhat verbally when they're very, very young. So let's say around the age of maybe 4 or 5 years old, even younger, just to kind of get it in their head that you are obviously the trusted one with them, as well as they are not to engage with anybody unless you've basically either specified it or you were there. So, for example, there's times when your child will have to be in possibly uncomfortable situations, and this could be while in the presence of a physician, so such as a counselor, a doctor, things like that. So those are kind of understandable forfeits where a lot of these rules potentially may not apply. But with that being said, you should always be present. And as your child starts to develop intellectually, you can start to gradually have these conversations. And again, you need to do them very, very carefully as to not cause trauma, because when we think of the word trauma, we jump to let's say somebody being to the fullest extent physically, emotionally abused. You know, we think of like to the extreme, but trauma often occurs during other situations. It could be being overly supervised your whole life. So at certain points in a child's life, they are continuous, well, throughout their whole life, but there's certain points where they're going through extreme development, and they potentially could have developmental issues if things are either too forceful or what have you. Because when we are talking to a young person or trying to convey information of fact or danger, safety, or what have you, oftentimes when we have these discussions, we will direct the conversation as to how we would perceive the information. But they are completely different. They are virtually brand new to the world. They are figuring things out. The way that we would understand or explain things is not how they would. So again, you have to virtually tailor the information so that their young minds would be able to digest this properly. And I got a story for you. So this is a little bit of a personal story, and I've already told my son's mother about it, but this is a prime example. I've never been the type to say this could never happen to me, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that say that. That happens to somebody else. This type of thing doesn't happen to me. Maybe it happens in my community, but it's never going to happen to me because I'm a good parent, or I do my best, or different things like that. Anybody, any family, this can happen to. Now, the story that I'm going to say, obviously, there's no fact in the basis of alleged allegations, but there was the potential threat that had come upon me. So, weekly, I take my son to a park, and sometimes we visit different parks all around the GTA. If one's too busy or there's no parking, we'll scoot over to maybe a community park or school park, or we'll find somewhere comfortable where he can play properly. So, mind you, this we've been to the parks maybe 1,000, 2, 3, 4,000 times, right? Since he was a kid. Now I have rules, and it is not only because I'm a parent, but also stronger rules based on what I do online and what I know about individuals in this world. So I don't allow him out of my sight whatsoever. I don't even allow him out of running distance in case a potential threat were to occur, because I know how quickly these things can happen and different things. So let's just paint the picture here for you. I'm thirsty. I need some water. Now, it's just me and him at the park. So, of course, I'm going to tell him, hey, guess what? You got to come with Dad. We got to go to the car. Dad's got to get some water, and then we'll come right back. So I explained it to him, and as a child would, kicking and screaming, like, no, I don't want to go, because he assumes that it's a trick so that we'll just leave and we won't come back. So I get him to follow me. We're walking towards my car. Now, he does this thing that I notice a lot of kids do. Walk slow, looking around at stuff. Oh, these flowers here, these people playing over here. Like, he's just distracted by everything. Again, because his perception of the world is completely different. He, at this point, at this stage, and more or less this day, his perception is peaceful, happy, just unknowing, just curious, because he's a child. So he's whistling, and that's kind of my thing with him, that when he's whistling, I can tell how far away from me he is. So I can tell he's probably about 6 feet, maybe 7 feet away from me. And mind you, we're walking through a grassy area, so I don't need to hold his hand to walk across the street and things like that. So I know he's close enough. All of a sudden, all at once, I hear the whistling stop. I turn around and I say, Caden, let's go, bud. And he continues. And it stops again. And at this point, I turn around and I'm relaying the same words to him. And as I just finish that sentence, I look over and all I hear the words are, I really like your sweater. Your shoes are really nice. Where did you get them? There was an older gentleman, possibly, let's say, around the age of 60 years of age, the very well-known grandfather kind of look. He looked like just a regular guy, just an elderly gentleman you'd possibly see on his porch, just hanging out with his family. He just seemed like a sweet old man. So I just kind of say, Caden, let's go. And he says to my son, okay, well, I'll see you later. The body language, the tone, the passive aggressiveness, all of these things, I'm analyzing it all at once because I've had to do this numerous times with confirmed predators and pedophiles. So I just said to him that it's inappropriate for him to stop a child while he's walking with his parent and separating them. Now, it's extremely inappropriate in my opinion. Again, there's no fact to say that he was up to no good. But what I do know about online predators and pedophiles, hebephiles, all these guys and girls grouped together, is that they won't necessarily strike at that moment. Typically, what this could have been potentially is an older man walking through the park, close to the playground, enticing children to get comfortable with him. And maybe he'll do this on a continuous basis to the point where he's made many children vulnerable, and then he picks one. Now, the child is comfortable with the person, and let's say the parents uncomfortably entertain the idea of stopping and talking to this person because he's got a nice dog. Now the child believes that the parent is okay with this person, so this person can now come out of disguise and attack. In some retrospect, some people could say this is over paranoia. This could be an overactive analytical thought process, but this is real life and this is realistic. And I'm telling you right now, it is 100% inappropriate for an adult to do what that man did that day. Because there was, again, the separation. I was continuing to walk while he stopped and talked to my child. In no way, shape, or form would I ever fucking do that. And I know that I'm a good person. I would never fucking do that. Because I know how that would look, and I know how uncomfortable that would make the parents. You should never, ever, ever do that. And I'm sorry, but this is just the world that we live in. There's many dangers out there that are now coming to light, and this discussion is being had so much more than it ever was before. And this is the world that we live in. But this is just basically what I wanted to say to everybody and kind of just convey and share, is that I've always said this to each and every one of you, that this monster has no face. It could potentially be anybody. And a lot of kids have been told misinformation, and as well as adults. And a lot of us are starting to kind of get woke to this and starting to realize that, okay, well, first of all, a predator doesn't come into your life with a certain look or a certain action. They don't necessarily attack at that moment. Some of them are well-to-do, professional-looking individuals. They are caring, charismatic, and understanding. They are pros at manipulation and con artistry. There are many levels and layers to this. It's very complex. It's a very complexity type of topic to have. And I understand that. But the thing that you need to realize is, when we are analyzing situations, we are analyzing it from our standpoint, our perspective, our perception, basically where we're at, with also the outside influences as well as information that we've gathered throughout our lives through like risk assessment and different things like that. And some of these things are almost inherited to us. But there's something bigger than that. There are individuals out there that know how to disarm all of these things. And they will be able to inject themselves into your life, whether like that individual even. Now, I informed his mother right away because they frequent that park. So who's to say that she's not busy with the other kids or off doing something for a second? And this is the problem that happens a lot in a lot of families, is you get comfortable, right? So let's say that for 6 years of your child's life, you go to the park, the same parents are there, every now and again there's a new one here and there, It's the same shit, different day, as we always say. Potentially you'll have blinders on to not realize some of the other things that are going on around. So what that means is your child wants to go to the bathroom, and there's like a little facility that's in on the playground complex. Oh, they can go by themselves because they've done it, a couple hundred times already. You've gone with them the first like 100 times, but you know what? They're old enough now. You figure they can go. Or you used to do it. You used to be allowed to ride your bike around the parking lot, or what have you. I'll tell you this now, that a little fun fact about me is that I'm my son's bodyguard. When he needs to use the washroom, I stand outside the stall. When he needs to use the washroom as a porta potty, I stand right outside. I watch and I wait. And I'm very vigilant, looking at everything. Hence how I noticed that individual that day. But somebody, even with the experience that I have dealing with individuals, guess what? I didn't even see that coming from a mile away. I didn't notice it until it was happening. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody like me that has the experience, that's dealt with individuals for almost a decade, and I wasn't even vigilant at that moment. Because I was in the mind frame that, oh, we're walking to the car, we've done this numerous times, this has happened all the time, nothing's ever happened, I'm right here. It takes 2 seconds. Car rolls up, someone grabs your kid, they run away. Or an individual will lure and groom your child on a daily basis, pretending to be something that they're not. Now, the dog aspect, that was a really good disarming for him because he loves animals. He loves pets. All kids do. So, of course, at that moment, my child, even I it's interesting because in the few seconds, the 60 seconds that this all took place, I noticed everything. I noticed where he was standing, how he was standing, how he was holding his hands, the look in his eyes, every detail about him. And I also noticed my son's body language towards this individual. He had no idea who the fuck this guy was. But my child was completely just vulnerable. He had no doubts in his mind that this person was a good person. This person was a really nice older man with a nice dog. And you know what sometimes happens in situations like that? Over the course of a little bit of time, once the individual decides to strike, I have some dogs back in the car. I have some dogs down here. I have some dogs at home. Dogs over here or dogs over there. Why don't you come and see? I mean, you like this one, right? That's how fucking quick these things can happen. Now, those are only 2 fucking scenarios out of many other diabolical, evil situations. So, just to clarify on this topic, to say when the discussion should happen, almost from day one. And again, depending on your child, depending on your child's intellectual capabilities, it should almost be pieced out throughout a timeline section. So, when your child is an infant, it's either yourself, your spouse, an accredited babysitter. You and those people kind of work together to take care of your child, or one parental unit would take time off work and watch, or if you're a single parent, you kind of get in kind of a space to have everything structured, correct? Now, as your child gets a little bit older and they are starting to become even like more aware of who they are a little bit, that's when, like I said, it should be almost, the conversation should almost be starting gradually then. Teaching your child about healthy body boundaries, that they are the only ones that can touch themselves or see themselves or what have you. They are their body and nobody else should cross that. And I understand, as I said, that sometimes this forfeits because a healthcare professional might need to examine your child for whatever reason. But again, when you're in the room, this is actually a good one. In situations where the rule must be forfeit, you must and this should be obvious, and I'm sure it is to some of you, it forfeits whenever you're present in the room 100% of the time. You are not to leave the room, and that will be something that will instinctively be in your child to let them know mom's not here, dad's not here, or grandma's not here, or grandpa's not, or what have you. That trusted parental unit is not there, so this is not happening. And I mean, there's other videos that I'm going to be making hopefully soon, and these other videos are going to be about directed 100% towards for your child's viewing, because these videos, I have many ideas, but one of the main ideas is I want to talk about prevention, as we've been doing. So we'll start off with knowledge, and then we'll move into prevention, and then we'll move into other videos talking about what to do if it does happen to you. So you as the victim, or you as the family member, or you as the close relative of the family, what you can do, and also what to do after the fact, what to do, and what to even to expect to happen throughout a court process, medical examination, different things like that. And one of the ultimate things that I want to do is, this is what I'm trying to do for this. I have so many ideas, but my main idea is I want to try to get a hold of one of these after-school programs where they teach the children karate and different self-defense things. What I would virtually like to do is get an instructor, and possibly even if it's just me and the instructor, or maybe one of the individuals in the class with the instructor, and have them demonstrate just very easy methods on how to disarm the situation using your words, so vocally, body language, and then even moving into self-defense methods. Now, ultimately, the number one thing that we know is scream as loud as you can, scratch, bite, run. Those are inherently the number one things to do. But now, I've also noticed over the years, we've been showing you online predators, we've been showing you pedophiles, we've been showing you individuals, but I do feel that we've taken away from the direction of victim support. So we've essentially taken the light off of victim and survivors and placed it on these individuals, which is great. It's good. They need the spotlight because they need to be known to the community, and you need to know what to watch out for, so on and so forth. But at the same time, there's a lot of resources that should be spent on victim support, prevention, action in terms of what to do, and even after effects. There's many things over the years that I've been thinking about, and I've kind of been deliberating, but I haven't known exactly how to put it into a video format. But I'm proud to tell you I'm at the point now where I almost want to start not stopping catching individuals, but I want to kind of put the brakes on that a little bit during a break phase, and still be showing you individuals, but also bringing all of this very valuable information to your screens. Because, as I said, I feel that it is very important, because we talk about individuals that go to meet us as kids, but there's more to this than meets the eye. There's more than just this individual is talking to me, here he is, or here she is, right? And I've done that. I've shown you grooming strategies, techniques, the sequence in which that they do these things. I've even point form labeled each and every action in which they do, because everything is coding, as I've always said. But it's time to level up and go further than that. And I believe that now is the right time, as school has even started. I mean, this is a topic that should be addressed all the time, but I mean, even now, schools started now. You're sending your young ones out to take buses by themselves. There's many situations that you hear about on the news of young people being assaulted on buses, and luckily in most of those stories, there's somebody on the bus that stands up. I mean, I've seen it a few dozen times where individuals have, I'm not sure if I can say it here to don't want to get a strike, but individuals have gotten a little bit of, you know, what they deserved. But again, there's so much more to this topic, and there's so much more respect that this topic deserves than just I chatted with this person. Here you go. Here's the face. Move on to the next one. There's so much more in-depth things that need to be addressed, spoken about, relayed in terms of information, and so much more understanding yet to come. And as I've said numerous times, when I was a child, it was stay alert, stay safe. Those two rabbits that would talk about potential situations and what to do proactively on how to address it, as well as analyze it and to get away from it. There's even one thing that actually just dawned on me right now. This is one topic that doesn't get talked about at all. Now, it happens to boys and girls, but you hear about it the majority of the time happening to young girls, young children, and young teen girls. Individuals will catcall them, say derogatory things and different things like that. But then it's almost like in society, it's almost placed in the category of, well, it is what it is, it happens. But nobody has ever really gone into discussion to explain to these young people that it's not supposed to happen. And even allowing some information for them to say some basically some understanding towards a situation, right? Because psychologically, even just situations such as that can be quite catastrophic. And believe it or not, I mean, there's a lot of people that would say, well, you know, it's bad, but it happens. That doesn't seem right to me, because there's a lot of us that grow up throughout the years and get to this point, and we look back and we remember inappropriate things that have happened, or we've suppressed it to the point that it reaches our subconscious and it starts affecting our conscious behavior. Now, this can occur through, as I've said multiple times, through trauma splits and different things like that, but it's very catastrophic. Just words alone, even without action, and especially when it happens on a continuous, very damaging thing to have happen. So you'll be happy to know that in my spare time on the side of Patreon, YouTube, and all of these things, I have been diligently trying to outline a lot of different avenues in which that I'd like to cover. I know I'm extremely slow with producing these things, as I'm a one-man person producing all of this by myself. I'm still researching different avenues in which that I believe that you should be crossing. So I'm going to allow like a minute in case anybody has any questions, any comments, if you'd like to add to anything that I'm saying. Each and every one of you are very vital in these conversations, because you yourself have experience, whether directly or indirectly, in a lot of these situations, or you have a lot to offer. So I believe that even just the general conversation, banter, if you will, between the different YouTube subscribers and just visitors that are coming into these comment sections and things, we can learn a lot from each other. So if you ever have anything you need to share, or whether it be via relatabilities, knowledge, information, again, indirect or direct sense, it's very valuable. So I think that that would be a good opportunity to give. Thank you, Phoenix. And like I said, if there's ever anything that any of you need to add to what I'm saying, please do so, because like I said a few times, I've not gone to school for this. I have no educational background. To be completely frank with you, because I want you to virtually know me inside and out. I mean, I haven't even finished high school. I'm over the years, I keep looking into it, starting it, stopping it, starting, stopping, waiting. making excuses. I am gonna finish, but I just need you to know that I do not have an educational background on this. Um, as I said, I haven't even finished a high school diploma, even though I will be eventually obtaining that. But I have a lot of experience in this, and I've done very much a lot of research in this. So let me see some of the comments that just came through in elementary school. Jesus Christ. Midnight Crypt. I have somewhat of a similar situation like that, not the threat sense like that, but okay, that's interesting. This just blew into the window. Am I supposed to make a wish? Um, so I don't know. I was probably about 10 years old, and my bus driver was always angry when we were kids, and we always used to think it was funny. This guy was miserable. As an adult now, I see why he was miserable. Um, he was paying bills, and he had to deal with the government. So, no, I'm just kidding. No disrespect. But there was one time I was sitting in the front of the bus right behind him, and it was a regular morning. He stopped the bus, he opened the doors, and I stood up, and I was getting ready to walk off, and then this arm comes over, and it smashes into me and pushes me back onto the seat. And he said that he had something to tell all of us. Like, you just fucking hit me, dude, and that fucking hurt. So we went in, a couple of classmates went in and talked to the principal and things, and the shitty thing was the decision had to get made based on me as a child. Uh, do I feel like this person should be let go? I had the biggest conscience back then. Like, I mean, even now, but I mean, even then, I had like the biggest conscience back then. And obviously, I was like, fuck no, because I knew that my parents had to work to be able to feed us. And I'm like, this guy needs a fucking job. But I can definitely relate a little bit to that situation. Not to the extent of somebody threatening bodily harm, but it was in the news. Or badass. What was in the news? I missed that. Did you hear about the middle school bus who started a group chat too long and teacher being creepy? Girls and the bees. Oh, fucking A. Yeah, I had situations like that happen a lot. Our neighbor, and we lived in the country, and we used to have to. This is so side topic right now, and I promise I won't do this often on this channel. We lived in the country, maybe about the closest thing was the gas station off the highway, an Irving gas station, and it was probably like an hour and a half, hour and 20-minute walk. And as kids, we had the utmost space. My parents would like literally, they trusted us, and we knew whatever. So we lived in the middle of nowhere. There's very few houses out there, but our neighbor lived down the street, and I was I was on my bike driving to the store, and his dog sometimes would come out and chase after me. So to me, it was just, you know, cinematic. It was like, oh, I got to try to get away. Like, just another day driving down the street on my bike. Long story short, his dog caught up to me and actually bit me. I actually I biked to the store, and then I came back, but I took my sweet ass time because I was hoping the dog would be brought into the house, or just the dog wouldn't be outside to be able to get me again. And I ended up, as a little kid, I was hitchhiking. What had happened was there was a truck full of, and I quote, newfies that were driving up the street and see this little kid, um, like limping, pushing my bike up the hill, and they stopped. And obviously, I shouldn't have got in a truck with a bunch of strangers, but being that my disarming in that situation was my dad's side's newfie, so it was just very comfortable. As I heard the accent, and it was just like, well, I know these guys, like they're probably family because Newfoundland's not that big. So, anyways, the decision in that part of my life was Again, what do I think should happen? Then I ended up finding out that the dog ended up getting put down. I literally had blamed myself, even though rationally I know that it wasn't my fault, because I wasn't the one to say let's do it, and I wasn't the one to do it, but I felt bad for years. So this is that I was put in situations like stuff like this of responsibility my entire life, and it helped in these videos, I think, YouTube and different things. That's why I think I've been able to excel without a formal education, is because I've been in the position to have to grow up quickly. And I've always been the type to aspire to be able to help and educate other people, as well as to take my own experiences or my own trauma or my own pain or what have you, and utilize it to my benefit to be able to help people. And absolutely, Midnight, life experience is a lot. You're absolutely right. And as I've said before, I'm sorry I'm going to be doing this, but I'm smoking. Um, he's my son and he's half Italian. I love it when people say that they're Italian or whatnot, because of Christopher's fucking thing. I have had to do so much research that I haven't really ever used, but just on Italy and stuff like that, and even just words to say, like, I mean, uh, Nona, and I mean, it's all distraction and disarming methods. But um, the one thing that I really wanted you all to do is that, and again, please ask me questions. It really helps out to be able to find out what are some of the questions on your mind, because I'm researching things and then figuring out what the next topic could possibly be. But I really want to know what you want to know about. So, I mean, you can do it anonymously by going to Gmail and then sending me an email at canadaohya@gmail.com. That's canadaohya@gmail.com. Or if you feel comfortable, you can also leave it in the comment section. Um, Obviously, discretion is number one, and I wouldn't say directly that it was you that had written me the question, but I will address the question, but say that it came in anonymously. As said before, I will do my very best to do the most research and fact checking possible to be able to make sure that I give you the best answer that's out there, or even virtually tapping into some of the things that I already know. What's the old saying? Takes a village to raise a family, or it takes a community to raise a family. What do you think is the core reason why parents do this? Of course, there's different reasons in most part. See, that's a very complex thing just to answer right now at this second, because it's like anything in life. Everything is individually, and as that said, each of us individually are packaged differently, right? So you get a pack of sausages at the grocery store. They all look the same, but under a microscope, they are all very, very different. And whether textures, surfacely, they all look the same, but under a microscope, much like when a doctor examines us, we might look the same, but we're not the same. We're similarities, but we're not the same. But in a lot of situations, doctors have said that there's overdeveloped or underdeveloped parts of the brain. There's chemical misfires, miswiring. There's the abused abuser theory, which states that there's some individuals. This is not saying this about somebody that is abused that it will happen, but it's been stated that it's a theory that somebody that is abused, verbally, emotionally, physically, sexually, there's research that states that some of those individuals will actually go on later on in life to do what has been done to them. And that just resonates with the whole Batman and the Joker scenario. Both the Joker and Batman have been through similar situations of catastrophic nature, but one chooses to take his pain and direct it to help people and to make sure that nobody else has to feel what this person feels. Hence why they picked a bat and he's all in dark clothing, is because it's a very traumatic and dark thing that he's going through, regardless of how they portray his character. He is a very broken individual, but he utilizes his pain to help others. Now, the Joker, on the other hand, just wants to hurt other people. He wants everybody to feel how he's felt. There's other underlying mental health and psychological issues that haven't also been addressed also. But now getting back to why individuals would be of a predator or pedophile sense, it's even could be to do with being untreated. Now, this is a topic that nobody really wants to have, but there's a lot of researchers and scientists out there that state that, well, because these individuals are ostracized throughout society, and there's no, there's almost no medical. You hurt yourself, you go to the hospital, they'll help you. But if somebody walks into a hospital and says that they had thoughts and feelings for young people, and let's say they've never acted out on it, it's very difficult to get these individuals help. Because, I mean, as I've said before, they've said even the most mildest case of pedophilia takes up to 2 years plus medications of hormone suppressors and different things in order to be able to combat that. Now, that's just the most mildest case. Now, most of these individuals have been untreated their whole life. So they are basically running rampant with their thoughts, not taking accountability, not being transparent, and basically living a life of shame and blame inside their own mind. Now, I'm not trying to create a sympathy thing or anything. This is just like a neutral observation, because there's many reasons why or how this comes about for them. But that would be a good video idea, actually. But at the end of the day, I think that anybody that analyzed an individual, they would only be maybe 90% right. Like, somebody that could get the closest would be 90%, because it'd be almost impossible to know 100% on how it happened. You can kind of maybe gauge and hypothesize where it possibly may have started. I hate that they're calling it that. I really do. And it's just like how they use the word statutory rape. It's rape, or it's child molestation. They've tried to digress on the terminologies, and I know to some people it might just seem inferior because it's in the description of like the description of the words opposed to the title. But by digressing, it's almost like they're trying to mitigate the severity of it through what they're calling it, right? So it's like, say I walk down the street and I punch somebody in the face and I break their jaw. There would be ways to be able to title that and describe that in court or something, let's say, or just among my peers, to state that, well, I was provoked, I had reasons, different things like that. But at the end of the day, it's you attempted, let's say, to very much physically harm somebody. I mean, there's more of a detailed title to that, but it just seems that somebody out there is starting to create some type of a movement with the terminologies and things, and I feel that that's very, very much not right. And a lot of us have our theories and our conspiracy theories to state that it's individuals in power, politicians and things, and court officials, and judicial system officials and things that are implicated in these types of things. So they are creating change for these individuals, but in no way, shape, or form do I feel that these words should be changed. That's actually ironic that you say that. I had somebody approach me because there was somebody that was writing a book about pedophilia, and the guy from the States had contacted me to be able to get my insights and things. And hopefully he publishes his book, because he says he was going to send me some of the quotes that I said. That is a very, very good question, Stephen. Now, the whole nature versus nurture aspect is very compelling, because both of them contribute, I believe, greatly. Because there's also outside attributes to this as well. Now, it's been even proven that even generational is included in this. I think that it would be improper for anybody to ever just categorize it as one particular root. So to say that, oh well, it's primarily nurture above everything else, but correct me if I'm wrong, if this is the improper way to explain this, but hereditary, it's even been stated that it's like almost I don't know how to properly form it into words, but that it's almost inherited through a generation, potentially. So I mean, that I haven't done too much research. Yeah, genetic, but your nature and your nurture do have a huge impact. I mean, how you're raised and things, but again, it would really go towards even. I believe the cycle is passed on. Yeah, and now I've heard a lot of really, really well-known physicians and things speak on this, and their research seems pretty damning. Now, again, I haven't done a whole lot of research in that direction, because I haven't really needed that information. My mom's cat's here now. The cat just walked by the car. Yeah, so I'm in Nova Scotia right now, just so you know. But to stay on topic, again, it would really go on the basis of the individual to be able to narrow that down. But again, I think that it would be improper to just use one direction, because there's a multi of situations and attributes to be able to categorize somebody, or like to diagnose them. Because serial killers are the prime example. Behavioral scientists used to say that when they used to do profiling in the beginning, it was, well, all of these serial killers have come from neglectful homes, or hated their mother, or didn't have a father, and different things like that. But then, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer is a prime example, and this is off topic, I know, but Jeffrey Dahmer is a prime example of all this. Is that he came from uh, a somewhat regular home. I mean, his parents had divorced when he was young, but he did get left to a little bit of his own kind of devise at one point, which, I mean, almost would suggest nature for certain aspects. I mean, but I mean, there's a lot of individuals that have come from typical regular homes that typically these imprints of trauma or what have you do not occur. Down here, I'm not sure if I'm even going to have enough time. I think what I'm going to do is just do what I don't do. And what I don't normally do is actually relax. Even in BC, I didn't actually 100% relax. I think I'm just going to relax and just edit videos, and then that way I can kind of catch up and get some content out and things. I'll say hi for you. I was just about to say about John. Wait, and here's another thing. So I listened to True Canadian podcasts through Spotify. If you haven't checked them out, please do. But formally, I'd like to make a video and give them a shout out because I've learned so much about psychology and things like that, just based on them, as well as video presentation and things just through their podcasts. But there was an individual that had come from a virtually perfect home, but this individual had a lot of, and again, I'm not in the healthcare field, so I do not know how to address this properly, so I'm just going to say a term, and if it's improper, correct me, and I do apologize if it offends anybody, but he had some mental defects. I'm not sure if that's the proper terminology, but again, correct me, and I apologize if I've misstated that. From this individual's young age, it was categorized that throughout his counseling and him being in psych wards and things throughout his life, up until the point of when he was formally incarcerated, he had envisions of different psychosis, different forms of psychosis or what have you, like envisionments and things. Like he was, I can't say, but potentially born with a lot of issues. Again, I don't know how to properly explain it, but what I'm getting at is it's very difficult to actually just pinpoint where, how, or why. Because one day this young person, he was like in his 20s, snapped. He took his rifle and he went to a farmhouse down the street and killed, I believe it was 6 people, starting with the father, a few of his small children in another room, and then the mother was trying to escape with a baby, and then he had killed her, and then killed the baby, and only one survived, I believe, out of 5 or 6 people, and that was the 4-year-old little boy, who eventually actually went to live with his 19-year-old sister that lived in British Columbia, and I believe that this happened in Saskatchewan, so if you need to look that up. Yeah. I mean, without doing the proper research to be able to answer some of those questions, like I would actually need time, but just to give like that unresearched answer, that's basically where my mind would go. Please don't smoke, but please drink water. I got some Scotian water. I love it. Big 8. The podcast on Spotify is called True Canadian. Let me see, actually. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna hook my car up, and I want to see. I want to make sure to get it right 100%, because there's only 2 podcasts that I listen to. One of them being the Canadian True Podcast. They are absolutely fabulous. There's one that they there's 2 girls. So this is my playlist. So I listen to this one. I didn't really get into, no disrespect, but I did get a lot into this one, which is where I heard that story. This one is just a generalized one of serial killers and things I've never heard of, but these 2 here are, to me, the best that you can get on Spotify, and I'm sure that you can get it on Apple Play possibly as well. So just some things to keep in mind there. Very, very interesting things, very unfortunate and tragic, but again, by having this information in front of you. Yeah, so that's all I do is I listen to. I'm not even kidding. I got Eminem on the fucking playlist on every fucking thing that I listen to, and then serial killers and true podcasts. Like it's kind of, I don't know, weird maybe, because some of his music in the beginning was pretty out there. But having this information at your beck and call is very important because we get to understand the world as it is and not just how it's portrayed. Absolutely, how people's minds tick. Absolutely. I mean, what I really want to try to find, I'm 100% my top genre, even off comedy and things, is interrogation videos. That's the thing that I watch continuously because I'm constantly trying to absorb information on how they obtain answers, and I'm trying to utilize those different aspects throughout voice calls with individuals as well as confrontations, to be able to disarm, enable, and to gain access to information that wouldn't otherwise be available. Uh, so yeah, right, Stephen? It's fucking awesome, eh? And some of the police officers that I've seen over the years, just amazing, just fucking amazing. And what's interesting is in the beginning of doing these confrontations, the first 2 years I was getting called in to Peel Region and Halton and these different police stations, and I was getting interviewed, but I was actually getting interrogated. Why are you doing this? Uh, why don't you leave this up to us? Like they would grill me, but one of the things they would do is what they do because it wasn't considered as an interview; it was a fucking interrogation. I started to notice after I started watching these interrogation videos that they were doing that exact same thing to me. So what was interesting was I wish I would have had this knowledge and information then, right? You see where I'm going? Because then it would have been a fuck of a lot more interesting how the conversation would have went. I mean, they would get me to go in there and I'd be like pissed scared, like there was nobody doing what I was doing in Canada at the time. So like fucking they're like telling me that I could get in trouble for this, this and this, and you could end up in jail or legal trouble and all this stuff. And I just kind of pushed it aside and kept going. But have you heard of Jim Can't Swim? He does it great. It's a police interrogation. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. Uh, Steven, if you could do me a huge favor, I don't want to inconvenience you. Now or later in the comment section, just go and write that as a reminder for me, just so I don't forget. I have a little bit of an abstract mind and I get a little bit forgetful. So, yes, I fucking listened to that on two different. Thank you, Steven. Sky, I listened to that on two different platforms. The True Canadian Crimes one, and then there was Crime Junkie. And they gave different perspectives and information, but ultimately the same story. And let me fucking tell you, like that was the most fucking bizarre, interesting fucking story. And then being that it happened, like the crimes that happen are very intriguing. But when it happens in our country or close to home, that's when it starts to get a little bit even extra real because it could be places that we've provinces or towns that we've passed through, right? Very weird and very scary. So I'm thinking we're gonna do like maybe one more minute. So if anybody has any questions or anything that you'd like to share, please do so. Don't worry, I'm not gonna kill this bug, but I am gonna escort his ass out of here, or her. I'm not sure what the bug is, but I love the United States. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I say this continuously. I fucking, every chance that I get going back to Ontario, I actually think I'm gonna skip through and try to get through the border with the excuse of that I'm going to Ontario. I guess you need the fucking passport to travel across the states. I don't know if that's still true. Um, Absolutely, drink your water. But I haven't driven through Maine and all those places. Like I've driven through like where the border is, North and South Dakota, Iowa, Chicago, Montana, Detroit. I've driven like on the borderline, but I haven't actually gone fucking deep down to Texas or New Orleans or places like that, or Texas or what have you. But those are a lot of United States states or whatever you'd call it, that I really want to go. I want to see. I just I just love the similarities and then the differences, and then seeing people that are so like different. And I don't know, like I think once I get my fulfillment in the travel across the states, I think then I'm probably going to be comfortable to go abroad even. And we're not talking about a week here and there. I'm talking about like a month or two in like Japan and things like that. But Sky had mentioned something, and I was thinking about this for the longest time. Now, Denzel Washington is the one that has the speech on YouTube where he speaks about falling forward, not backwards. But there's one thing that if I could add to it, I've been thinking about this for the longest time, and that's absolutely fall forward and not backwards. But if you need to, plant your feet and stay in it where you are at that moment, but do not get comfortable enough to stay. Life is meant to be, unfortunately, fortunately, uncomfortable. Now, hopefully, it's uncomfortable in most aspects of learning and progression, opposed to anything negative or anything that we would despise. But at the end of the day, with a neutral mind, all things that we encounter in life teach us things. And it's up to us to grab a hold of this information, utilize it, and slingshot forward. So continuously always fall forward, never stop learning, never stop growing. But when needed, if you need to take a moment, do not beat yourself up over it. But for the love of God, acknowledge back there, but do not take a step back, because you've come too damn far to go back to the things that you don't like. And do not, for any fucking reason, try to go around things. It's tough, it's tragic, it's scary, but you must always face it head on, and you will make it through. There's no ETA on when and how or why or any of these things, but these are a part of your journey, and these are things that you will make it through. And again, there's no predestination to when you will make it. And try to watch out for the expectations of what we set in front of us. So what this means is a lot of us will give up on our goals based on the fact that we haven't obtained it in the time that it took that person, or we don't have the resemblance of what they have, or what our past expectation of what we wanted is. Sometimes you will see something that you want, and it will add up to a lot of the things that you think that you want, but you must analyze it to realize, will it bring you peace? Will it bring you prosperity? Will it bring you happiness? Will it bring positive, enriching things to your life, like soil to a plant? Or could these be things that are good for somebody else, but not you? Now, if it is good things, and if it is good things that will positively help you prosper throughout your life, or even further out than yourself, then realize that it won't always look the same. It won't have the same definition of what your thoughts will have. There might be a lot of similarities, but don't hate on yourself for the fact that it doesn't resemble what you thought it was going to. Because the most important thing is the journey. Sometimes it takes us to go through the journey in order to realize that. But once you've obtained what it is that you went for, you should obviously continue to stride for more and for better, and in the positive aspect. But also, it's the steps and the experience that you gained along the way to obtain the position or the item or the place in life where you were searching to get to, that's fine. But it's every other step in between that is most important. Because without those steps, that wouldn't exist. And then further out might not have come as easy to you. Everything intertwines and connects with everything else. Every bit of information and every bit of knowledge and every bit of experience that you have can be utilized, possibly even translated into something else to figure something else out. You are fucking really good at a lot of things. And I swear, because it's just so I can put that extra emphasis on it so that I can let you know you're good at a lot of things. But it's just sometimes you might not be giving yourself the space or the availability in your own mind in order to be able to try those things, because you might be distracted by scrolling and commenting and liking things, or television, or Netflix, Disney Plus, all of these things. Please do your best to try to structure all of these things in categories. So for example, I know it's difficult at times, but do your best. The habit that creates the progression that creates the habit, which eventually is just your regular routine. You eventually catch on to this. So what I'm trying to say is, uh, if possible, try to limit um, such things that are perceived as positive, so such as relaxing, watching television. That's great, but try to incorporate other positive attributes to it. So if you can't turn it off and read a book or meditate, if you're not there yet, then at least try to watch something a little bit educational, or try to observe and absorb some of the information that you are getting from different characters through their experiences. Like, always continuously keep engaging and deciphering and collecting information, but also uh, try to limit some of these things that are perceived as positive, and try to add in other enriching things. Now, with this being said, I can say that I have experience. My experience is, I absolutely adore water. I love it. I mean, if I could be a spokesperson for it, I would, obviously. But I am I have many inabilities in and around uh, beverages. So if I'm having a meal, I like to drink pop, because it just goes hand in hand to me. But what I was thinking the other day is, the reason why I would really like a nice cold Coca-Cola, other than the advertised aspect, the generational aspect in which that, I've seen it my whole life growing up, and that's all my family would drink, would be like a soft drink and juice and sugary things. Um, and it's not to disrespect anybody in my family, because there was a lot of water being drank too, but just the aspect of growing up and trying to figure out my place in all of this. Uh, Obviously, the thing that I'm going to gravitate towards the first would be the soft drinks. So let me just try to simplify this, because I've kind of gone off topic here. What I'm essentially trying to say is, water is the number one drink to hydrate you. But we get so programmed through justification, denial, excuses, manipulation, what have you, to the point that we are addicted to things, but denial sets in, and justification and rationalization to say that. And I know that some might say that I sound crazy, which is understandable. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of things that we believe in, or that we do in our routines and things, or things that we feel that they comfort us or self-soothe us, and we have vices. We have vices that are not so easily to relinquish. They're not. So if I ever made a suggestion to you, it would just be to do your very best to thoughtfully incorporate positive things. Do your best to thoughtfully incorporate positive things. Now, if you only go for a walk or try to get fresh air one day this month, don't be negative to yourself about that. That's just one aspect towards healthy living, is just, being out and getting fresh air and things. But sometimes pushing yourself too hard or creating such a high expectation can hinder your ability in order to grow. Okay? So it's almost like you need to be in a rush, but not in a rush. You need to find that common ground of information and knowledge in order to be able to figure out what works best for you. It's not easy. And sometimes throughout life, when there are things that we know we need to do or we should do or we could do, one of the things that I feel that a lot of us do is we will envision it, imagine it, and we'll live it, but only in our minds, to the point that, well, that was good enough. And then something else kind of takes over, and we kind of almost like brainwash ourselves to believe. It's almost like figuratively, fuck, I can't even talk today. I have so many thoughts in my head. Let's just use the word, it's similar, but let's just say fictionally, because the figment of your imagination, oh wow, figmentedly, I'm having one of those days. It's almost like we were able to project this image or this video or these feelings of something similar, or something almost altered for us to believe that we're happy with how far we came, because I thought about the change. Figuratively, I thought about the change. I imagined it, and sometimes our imagination can really paint the picture for us that, well, this is as far as I'm gonna go. So I always use these as examples because I know a lot of us are trying to get fit and healthy. But I mean, such thing is going to a gym. This is a very obtainable thing to do, but sometimes there are other things at play that are hindering that ability, and it creates the inability, which is a lot of self-doubt, a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of outside influences or perceptions in which that we see through Instagram in different forms. Now, I have to tell you that I'm very pleased to see a lot of people being themselves. And it's no disrespect to anybody that's fit and that's, posing and doing their thing. Absolutely understandable and fine. But it's very important also to have that other aspect of that expectation, that reality, and that honesty, which is some of the people that are showing themselves and how they pose in a picture, but then showing the realistic sense of who they are. Because to me, I believe that it creates relatability is the most beautifulest thing. And it virtually almost creates a type of relatability that is just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And the reason for it is this. So this is off topic, but with the ending words that we're having now, it co-aligns with it. So one of the things is, I'd seen a posting about the Little Mermaid and how Halle Berry is going to be playing Ariel. And now this is a cartoon uh, and movie that we remember from when we were kids. But apparently there was many individuals that have taken issue with the fact that they've casted Ariel as black. And it's shocking, right? I mean, you'd think that out of all things, why would you take issue with that? But in my mind, I see the positive aspect in and around the fact that there are platforms that are actually addressing this. They're showcasing the fact that there are a lot of people out there that their minds are just, I don't know how to properly say it, but they're misguided and they have misinformation. There's a lot of racism out there, and I don't believe that they even understand that aspect about themselves. So my comment, because I just felt very compelled to comment on this posting, and my comment read something like, this is more than a movie, and this is more than just her playing a character. This is a representation for a lot of young people out there and a lot of people out there, because it is very important in order for each and every one of us, whether you're black, white, Italian, Chinese, Japanese, what have you, or gay, lesbian, transsexual, uh, bisexual, what have you, regardless of who or what we are, where we've come from, what our sexual orientation is, or whatnot, it is very important, I believe, to be able to see a representation of ourselves on some of these the biggest platforms out there. The thing that a lot of people I feel reluctantly don't realize sometimes is he's doing very well. Thank you for asking. A lot of people I feel don't realize how important that is. And partially it could be due to the fact that A, they've never seen that particular side of themselves out there like that, or they are not ready to address maybe a particular issue, problem, or situation that maybe it has something to do with personal, or it's almost like they're just not ready. And that's sad because this world has something like what was it? Did we say it was between 2 and 7 billion people on this earth? I live in Canada. I was raised in the country. I was raised in a small town. I moved to the city. I adapted. I flourished. But I still know in my mindset that in other countries, people look different, people like different things, and people are different. And I love that. I love it because I like to know that the world is a different place. I like to know that there's either different experiences or that people can be themselves. I like the fact to know that people can be who they want to be because in most cases, in most things about us, we don't choose who or what we are. You don't get to choose. So for somebody to criticize something such as, that's almost a step back rather than standing still or stepping forward, because standing still would be analyzing it and then realizing why you think the way you do and then moving forward. But taking a step back is almost like socially and unjust because it's undoing a lot of the hard work and dedication and a lot of the fight that a lot of people have had in this world. You don't have to be of likeness to the character in order to be able to see the resemblance, because um, a lot of the times when we see somebody, let's say in a lot of the television shows we watch now, it's very well known now that they speak on issues. Like, I mean, Full House back in the day would address a lot of the different parental tasks and things of growing up and things. And since then, a lot of television shows have incorporated real life issues. But one of the things that I feel that has been on the slowest progression is the sense of either the relatability or the similarity, or to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I think that's just unfortunate. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily ever uh, criticize or put somebody down because of their beliefs, although negative. What I would prefer to do is try to allow them to have understanding, and then eventually, hopefully, move that into a knowledge sharing, because that's what we should do. If you know something of positivity or of great intellect, you shouldn't put somebody down just because they're not intellectual, or because that they believe in something different, even if it is negative. We need to encourage, enlighten, and inspire each other for the change of better. And to me, that's why each of us are here, is to live our own lives, to figure out the meaning of life, but also to be able to help each other. I have something and you might be in the lack thereof. So I'm here for you. You have something and I might be in the lack thereof, and you help me. And this comes in many forms. It comes in the form of a topic on television. It could be a good Samaritan as a role model, an ambassador. It comes in many forms. So, with that being said, I think we're going to end this off now. Thank you, everybody that's come over here to Payne Media. Absolutely, Angela. Miss Ferguson. As I said, if you ever have any questions, concerns, comments, criticisms, anything, feel comfortable and feel free to always be able to voice all of these concerns and opinions in the comment section or direct email at canadaohya@gmail.com. The reason why that I say that is because I care about your opinion and I care about what you think, in the sense that I hold it high because it's something you think and feel. It's something you hold on to. And if it's something that you're holding on to, whether negative or positive, then I feel that it should be met with respect, just like I want to give you respect. So until next time, please drink your water. I should have known that that was coming. So please drink your water, stay hydrated. Hydrates your mind, your body, and your spirit. Makes you feel good. It's just one. Thank you. Write me questions, please. It's just one avenue of many in the direction towards positive change, positive growth. So I really, really do hope that you have the best morning, afternoon, evening, night, doing whatever you're doing. And if you're in unfortunate situations right now of trauma, stress, or chaos, I really, really, really hope that you make it back to positivity safely and as soon as possible. And just realize that there are people that are out there, some people that are trained, and a lot of people that are caring and that can be there for you. And wherever and whatever stage, or whatever position, and whatever environment you are in your life, you can have better and you deserve to have better. So sometimes it's just taking the necessary steps or acknowledgments, and you'll figure it out. I wrote what? I wrote an email. Please send it. I'll do my best to respond back to it. But don't ever feel ashamed, please. Like I said, this is the most understanding circle that we have here. I would never judge you negatively. I would judge the situation or the topic professionally, intellectually, as well as positively, in order to be able to give the most adequate answer or advice, because I want nothing but the best for you. I want you to wake up every day happy. I know that's impossible to be happy all the time, but it's a good thought, right? And it makes you feel good, just even the thought of it. I want you to have the most enriching life possible. And that doesn't necessarily mean finance, although that would be nice, right? Would be. But what I'm trying to say is, I want you to have your health. I want you to have your family. I want you to have a good mindset. I want you to have a positive perception and outlook. I want you to feel it. I want you to live it. I want you to own it. I want it to be yours. So whatever way I can help, I will. So I love you, and I really hope that you have a good day. Okay. Till next time.